We have some good news, guys. The Santa hat is bringing good luck to AMC stock. At least that's what I'm going to roll with because we are up 4.5% on the day. Now, there is some very important things to note about the move that we are seeing today. The fact that we did come up and touch this 200-day moving average, literally top ticked or top wicked the 200-day moving average on this candlestick and have fallen, but we are in between this range that I want to break down a little bit more in depth for you guys, as well as we have some really bad headlines from the Omicron situation that are coming out, but the market is not reacting quite the same. So I think this is all in all a very bullish thing, but we are not out of the clear by any stretch of the imagination. But hey, if you didn't sell your stock when we were in between the $50-$60 range and in between the $40 and $50 range, why would you sell your stock right now? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think all of this information, pretty much all of this we're going to go over, is very bullish, as well as the short interest is climbing yet again today, confirming what we are saying and what we have been saying. And I want to give you guys my estimate of what the short interest actually is. So hit that like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel, and as always, check out the links in the description for free stock, as well as the link for the buy and sell alerts and the link for my Twitter page. If you guys want to go follow me over there, we're going to be very active posting all of the news before videos are ever put out. So check all of that out. Let's get straight into this video, guys. AMC just touched 5% positive. So an incredible day today. And this is kind of what we expected. Even so, by the end of the day today, we could see up 10%. That wouldn't surprise me. That's what I said on the live stream. And that's kind of what I'm thinking, as long as the markets don't take another major downtrend. We do have Euro close that is happening right now. So we're going to have to pay attention to what happens to the overall markets. And if we pull up the S&P 500, we could see that today we're just seeing a strong bounce across the board. But Euro closed yesterday at 11:30 a.m. That's when we did see the market start to sell off. So watch to see if that situation does develop, but just a strong day overall across the whole entire markets. Now, like I was saying about this 200-day moving average, this should have been a solid level of support. And how it works with support, you will either find support at that level or you will come down and basically butter through, is where you get just a lot of momentum under that support level, and then hopefully you catch to the next support level. And that's pretty much what happened. As you guys can see from the 200-day moving average, we've just buttered through that, fell down to another support level at about $29 per share, and then we did bounce back up. We actually fell to 26.85 yesterday, was the lowest level that we hit, came back up. Now we are sitting in between the 200-day moving average and $29 per share. We're currently at $29.41 per share at the time of this recording. So really what I want to see is I want to see a bounce above the 200-day moving average. I want that to become our support level again. That is going to be a very good sign. But as long as we stay above $29 per share, that's going to be a good sign as well. And it's really borderline right now because we're at $29.32. We were just at $29.40 per share. So it could go either way. As long as we stay above those levels, though, we are looking really, really good. So I do think you're going to see a positive reaction for, probably the next couple of days, as long as the situation does not develop into something that is much worse. And that's what we're going to talk about here with the headlines. So you're seeing a couple pretty scary headlines, and really this is the reason why we cover the Omicron here on this channel, because it directly goes into and has a direct role into our stock, AMC, because there's two fronts to what is going on right now. All mid-cap stocks, well, I shouldn't say all, but like 80% of mid-cap stocks are getting shorted into the ground. Like we called out on the other videos and in the live stream, a couple stocks that I have trades on, like Teladoc and Roku, those are down like 60% from the highs, and they are mid-cap stocks. Same thing with AMC, same thing with a lot of other stocks. They're getting shorted into the ground. So you're seeing a lot of shorting activity, but if you can short a stock if you're sitting from a hedge fund's perspective, if you can short a stock that's already in a very shorted sector in the mid caps, but also is very prone to Omicron news, and if this develops like AMC, then there's another added reason to short the stock. Hopefully that makes sense. It's like a double-edged sword. It's like a two for one for shorting AMC. So hopefully that makes some sense to you guys. That is what has been going on. But this headline says Omicron will likely dominate and overwhelm the world in 3 to 6 months, doctor says. The key points. Frankly, Omicron will dominate and overwhelm the whole world in 3 to 6 months. Singapore doctor Leon Ho Nam told CNBC's Street Signs Asia. New vaccines targeting Omicron are a nice idea, but won't be practical because of the transmissibility of the strain, he said. Experts don't know exactly how contagious the highly mutated Omicron variant is, but the virus spike protein, which binds to human cells, has mutations associated with higher transmission and a decrease in antibody protection. So this obviously didn't do too much, we're not selling off. We're not really seeing a huge reaction based off of that pretty, scary headline, but it's not doing all too much. Now, here's another headline, which is good to see the markets didn't sell off on this one too. Minnesota reports second U.S. Omicron COVID case in resident who traveled to New York City. Key points. The man who was fully vaccinated and since recovered traveled to New York City to attend Anime New York City 2021 convention at a Jattis Center from November 19th through November 21st, the department said in a statement. New York Governor Kathy Hochul is scheduled to address the public from Manhattan at 11 a.m. The first Omicron case was confirmed in California by U.S. officials Wednesday in a person who recently returned to San Francisco from a trip to South Africa. The California patient was also fully vaccinated, showed mild symptoms, and is recovering, according to state health officials. So the two people that have been confirmed have been fully vaccinated. You're not really seeing that reaction as well. People are not freaking out. There's not as much fear today overall. And this is the last headline. U.S. tightens travel testing requirements, mask mandates as part of broader plan to fight COVID. The Biden administration is tightening travel rules to and within the U.S., requiring all inbound international passengers to test for COVID within 24 hours of departure. It's also extending its mask requirement on all domestic flights and public transportation through March 18th. The changes are part of a broader plan to bolster its arsenal of tools in the nation's fight against the virus as the world enters its third year of the pandemic. So a lot of these headlines today, and like I said, not much reaction overall. The markets are still doing phenomenal. The Nasdaq not nearly as much as the Dow, up 1.37%. Nasdaq only up 0.12%. S&P up close to 1%. But the Russell 2000, take a look at that, up almost 2%. And the Russell 2000 has been getting just absolutely beat down. So that is good to see the Russell bouncing so much. And then I just want to throw this in here while we're on CNBC. It says Congress strikes deal to avoid government shutdown one day before deadline, but roadblocks remain. This doesn't really matter. The markets don't care if the government shuts down. Throughout all of history's government shutdowns, 18 of them, the markets have returned a 0% gain. So it doesn't matter. Sometimes you might go up a little bit, go down a little bit, but the move doesn't really care. The debt ceiling, that's a more serious situation, and that's not what we're talking about here. That's the government shutdown. So if you guys see videos about that, any FUD, it doesn't matter whatsoever. Now let's get back to AMC. Let's see what are we doing right now. Up 3.64%. So still looking very good. Now let's get into the Ortex data, because we are indicating that there is a high short interest change today. So borrowed shares of 2.61 million, return shares of 61.31 thousand, estimated short interest is 17.16%. Now we are getting an estimated short interest that is higher than the exchange reported short interest that we got. It's been a while since we had this divergence of an estimate that was higher than the last exchange reported short interest data that we did get. And the exchange reported short interest data is usually 2 to 3% lower than what the actual short interest is. So I think on the low end, 19% short interest. On the higher end, about 23% short interest. And going off the price action that we have seen, From November 15th, you guys have maybe heard me talk about this, but the high for that day, November 15th, when the short interest was 17%, was $43.23 per share. We opened at $40.35 per share. And just going off of what we have seen since then, now at, $29 per share, I think it's very reasonable to say the short interest is well over 20%. So I think that is very bullish when it comes down to it, because we want to see the short interest as high as possible. That just means there's a lot of shorts that need to get out of short positions when that time does come. Days to cover still at about 2 days to cover, so that is very bullish as well. Share utilization is at 76.32%, and this has went up a little bit, probably because more shares are out on loan, more people are shorting this stock. So that is the situation with that. Days to cover, like I said, at about 2. Cost to borrow, I don't pay attention to this because it doesn't make sense a cost to borrow in between 1 and 2%, because the volatility and the risk when shorting AMC, the real cost to borrow is probably much higher, but we won't know all of that information until we do get that SEC rule. Finally, hopefully will be approved by the end of this year, and then we'll get all the information from individual short sellers of AMC and other stocks. So I think that is coming. I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on shorts in general, and that's something to be very excited about. Now, the Stonko tracker data, we are seeing a lot of puts that are, in the money, 58,000, almost 59,000 expiring this week, only 35,000 that are out of the money. So if we do see a substantial bounce by today, you're going to see a lot of de-hedging. You're going to see a lot of shares being bought by the market makers to de-hedge these puts. But for the next couple of weeks, you are seeing a lot of put activity that is currently in the money. But for the call side, 17,000 calls that are in the money for December 17th. Still a lot of calls that are out of the money, and virtually none that are in the money besides for December 17th and January 2022. So keep that in mind. You're going to see a lot of volatility just in the next couple of months in general, something we have talked about, and we are all fully prepared for that volatility. And hopefully none of you guys are panicking today. It's definitely taking a load off. We're not seeing a continued drop, and I do think we're going to see a extended rally into the close today, as long as nothing does develop. Now, like I said, I want to see that move above the 200-day moving average. I don't want to see a lot of support or a lot of resistance at this level. We did see that first level of resistance today with the top wick of this candlestick that did get rejected at that $31 level. Ultimately, I think we will cross above this, and then I do want to see that move above $35 per share. I think it's too soon to be talking about that. I don't exactly think we're just going to gap up to that, but eventually we're going to get back up to there. We're going to see the MOAS. Nothing changes with this trade. Now, the volume for the day is at 33 million, so we're seeing a lot of volume. I think you're seeing a lot of people buying the dip, as well as the market makers that are unhedging. So the fact we're seeing this higher volume relative to what we have been seeing, we're only about halfway through trading, not even halfway through trading for the day, and we're up 4%. I think all of this is going to, like I said, lead into an end of the day rally. So that's going to be all for this video. Drop that like on the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. Consider sharing this video with your ape friends, your ape buddies, the ape community, so they can get the scoop on what is going on with a very unbiased opinion. Well, I'm very biased. I want AMC to do its thing, but an honest opinion here. So that is going to be all. Check out the links in the descriptions, all that good stuff. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. I will see you guys in the next video.